That's exactly what happened.
Once the recording starts, it always interrupts the conversation.
Well, you do have to click the acknowledge button as well. So
yeah. And it's not predictable when things are going to go live. So we've got the SEP Growth Data Science staff meeting for January 11th or January 12th for those in APAC. And we're just talking about traveling and having a good time off and also trying to not get sick when traveling. So I think I have the first item, celebrations. So nice job by Jay and team and the anti-abuse team on reducing fraudulent account takeovers via requiring email verification if a user logs in incorrectly greater than 3 times. It's pretty cool, and it was unobvious, not obviously hard to get right in all use cases. In all ways, such as if the user's email wasn't deliverable in the past, we stopped sending emails to that user because it keeps our email it makes the mail providers, when you do that, more likely to accept the email. But what it does is that user may never get an email again. And that's not, when you're trying to validate the user with a required email, that's a problem. So we had to actually integrate with an email provider via an API to allow us to those email addresses, even if they were non-deliverable. So anyway, good stuff there. Number of announcements that I put in here, but I would love if different people volunteered them because I just copied them from Christopher's staff meeting.
Yeah, I can take the first two. So we've got annual comp review starting soon. I think that kicked off on Monday, maybe Tuesday. I think there was a little bit of a delay, but that should be on Workday, and there should be some messages in some of the management channels for that. And then the second one is there is team member professional coaching resources available. So we've had this for a while, but this is just a friendly reminder. There is a link to the document, both Modern Health, and then there's another professional coaching resource. So take advantage of those benefits.
Thanks, Jeff. Any volunteers to verbalize?
Sure. Yeah. So Christopher's given us his draft Q1 development OKRs. They're linked in the document there. We'll be, of course, looking at our Q1 OKRs, some of which will have to align with Christopher's. Worth having a look through. You didn't want to run through them in this meeting, Wayne? No, great.
They're still in draft mode, and I don't know if any of them are confidential or not. But read them, and then while we're going through other things, if anybody would like to, and would love to take questions on them, commentary on them, if anybody has any now or in the future. So under big rocks and hot issues, so all people leaders should review the IMOC rotation issue to track to make sure everybody who is eligible to be an incident manager does so. Well, there were some crossed wires where not everybody that's supposed to be doing it is doing it yet, but that's okay. That happens. We're figuring that out, not just for our team, but for all teams. And if somebody is not eligible, and there's various reasons for that, there's a way to ask for an exemption for that, just for the justification as well. Like top reason is IMOC rotations, incident manager rotations. It's sometimes, it's a schedule, but it's sometimes outside of work hours because we need support outside of work hours. In some countries, that's not possible. And we don't have a way to do the IMOC rotation where it's only during people's work hours. So that's if a team member's in a country where they can't participate, that it's an obvious exception. There's other reasons too. Seth, looks like you've got a question.
Yeah, so we've been running the program for about a year. We have the criteria of everyone that's job 8 and 9. I think about half the people have not done the IMOC rotation. I don't know if there's a due date to get everyone into the rotation.
Not that I know of, but maybe a soft due date would be by the end of Q1. Is that reasonable? Because it takes some time to go through the training and, do a couple, it's not in the person's, in the IMOC, onboarders complete control of the schedule either. If I remember correctly, there's some things that they need to do. Does that seem like a reasonable goal, at least for your team staff?
And
End of
if-
Q1, ending of Q1.
End of Q1 is, what date is that?
End of April.
Okay, yep. Yeah, so 3.5 months. That should be okay.
Phil, looks like you have a comment.
Yeah, staff engineers, according to the job family, need to be in one of the on-call schedules. So they can still be in dev on-call. Staff engineers should already be in that one. I think we've gone ahead and created onboarding issues for IMOC, but technically, according to their job family, they could remain in dev on-call and not do IMOC. Perhaps there's a need, though. Perhaps we need more IMOC people, so maybe that's why we're asking staff engineers to migrate to there.
Yes. And we want to spread the IMOC workload across more people. So that the more people that do it, the less impact it is on each person. I think it's a primary motivation why we want more. Amr, looks like you have a comment.
Yeah, and just kind of a follow-up to Seth's around timeline expectations. For anyone who has gone through IMOC onboarding, completed it, how long did it typically take to get through most of the training or the shadowing piece of it? Just to set the timeline or internal clock similarly.
I don't recall exactly how long it took to do the training component of it, but there wasn't much to it. Shadowing was, you can set up a shadow IMOC schedule. I just subscribed to notifications for incident management and jumped in on calls and did shadowing that way. I find that was much easier than trying to set up a schedule. And that component of it was just waiting for enough incidents so that I could shadow and actually feel comfortable joining as an IMOC. I don't think it's particularly onerous. It's a few hours maybe to read the training.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad. And I think the new folks have the luxury of getting scheduled, like subscribing to this, signing up. The batch Phil and I were in 4 and 5 months ago, we just got added to a schedule. A number of people didn't even realize till the notification, like PagerDuty sent them an email saying welcome. So yeah, but yeah, I agree. A few hours of reading, and then just kind of follow the various channels. I created a group in Slack with like dev escalation, IMOC general, incident management. Keep an eye on those channels for activity. What Phil said, if you want to subscribe to a schedule, that'd be cool too. You can create a shadow schedule.
Good stuff. Yeah, thanks for the tips.
Great question. So coming over the hallway, I went the first two. Seth actually moved yours from read only to the hallway. I think it's a cool idea. So we can discuss it. So the first thing in the hallway is Christopher, and I recommend that all EMs and above, at least, maybe everyone, but at least the EMs and above, watch this 10-minute video from Sid on comparison and tool landscape. It's very pertinent to best in class BIC things and other stuff, so good stuff there. Also, we haven't had a guest in this meeting since legal trouble. And anyone want to volunteer to identify a guest for our next meeting? Thomas, you're volunteering? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
and then we'll
I
ask
am.
again next time. Who wants to do the one after that? So, any requests of teams or groups, or what are you thinking, Thomas? Or no idea yet?
Security. I'm
Security.
thinking in terms of FedRAMP and all of the other initiatives that we have, and the increased increased emphasis on vulnerability management and security concerns that, and since we built tools for this, we may have interests. So
I think that's a great one. You know, and not after then, another guessing might be to invite another director or senior engineering manager or manager from one of the other development teams. That we, not by design, but just by what we do, is we're not part of the core part of the product. We've got a lot of things that hang off the product, integrate with the product in great ways, and are part of the product, of course, but the other teams interact with each other a lot. Then we interact with them. And that's not a negative on anybody. The more, I think perhaps having guests, like some of my peers or your peers, occasionally would be great. We can learn what they're up to and they can hear what we're up to and things like that. So other candidates would be people like that. That's who I'd probably choose if I'm going to do one of the guests, but I'm going to look for other volunteers first. Just an idea. Seth, it looks like you've got C.
Yeah, so just started a MR on our PTO page just to talk about domestic and family violence as a reason to take time off. It's something that is actually a lot more common than we might realize. So I wanted to get that in the handbook as a particular reason, also for anyone looking at taking time off, they understand that this is something that does happen, and to seek support and to make sure they're in a safe place. When I was writing this, I actually found Australia and New Zealand. There may be some other countries actually have some legislative, some employment law around this, actually giving people time off. So I figured we could take some of that and put that in our PTO policy. And then somewhat related is, just kind of a comment here. One of the things I've noticed, whenever you're looking at really steep performance drops with employees, it tends to be some of these issues like relationship or divorce or health problems or bereavement or abuse. So it's just always kind of a lens that, you look at performance through and figure out like, hey, it's not that they don't want to be working or being performing. They've got something else going on.
Great stuff, Seth. It's glad you added it. I added some comments or some suggestions in the MR, just mostly wordsmithing things. It reminds me it's pretty cool that everyone can contribute. It's not just something we say. Like you put a proposal in to change some people ops / PTO policies. Is it going to get accepted? I don't know. The DRI is going to review it, but it's really neat that everybody feels and can make suggestions to improve things. It makes things inside engineering stronger, but also things outside engineering too. Kind of neat. I had the last item, at least in the thanks and gratitude. I don't have enough things in here, but it says thanks, Thomas, for documenting a workday performance review hack. I'll call it. I think it's a great thing to call it a hack of how to go export things at a workday in a way that is usable for the review. So appreciate that. I used it. I think many people did. That's everything we have on the agenda. Anything else we want to discuss? But there's have a happy Friends and Family Day on Friday. And for those taking off Monday next week for US holiday, enjoy a 4-day weekend for MLK Junior Day.